everybody, and welcome back to another edition, an Indian Wells edition of the TennisONE podcast. Madison Golden, Patrick Kuhle, and we have our esteemed colleague, TennisONE editor-in-chief, Laura Sonday, joining us as well. Thanks for joining, Laura. And you got a cool background, it looks like, going on. Do you want to give the listeners a little lowdown of what's behind you?
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, it's not my house. I'm dog sitting for someone, but Courtney is very well set up. She's got candy, the Harry Potter books, everything you could ask for. They have a 65-pound golden doodle that I'm watching right now. So she's crated because she gets too excited and jumps into the camera. But, yeah, it's a good day. Oh, God.
Patrick
slightly larger than this guy, huh?
Slightly larger, yeah.
He just wants to be on the podcast.
We can do a dog-friendly podcast. It's
yeah,
fine.
Or go get that dog. Lift. It's a boy or girl?
It's a girl.
Okay. You could lift her up.
I could try.
Yeah, featuring the dogs. It's good time. Good time. And we're going to do a little Indian Wells draft. If you listen to our Australian Open podcast, we did something similar. So Patrick will kind of give us the rundown of the rules, and then us three will draft our players and see how it goes for the Indian Wells tournament.
Well, luckily Nate's not here, so somebody in TennisONE has to win this time. So basically, if somebody beats us, we just kick them off. Don't let them come back. Now, Nate's out at Indian Wells. Check out Tennis Point and Pure Tennis Podcast Instagram. They're doing some behind the scenes stuff. But yeah, so we're doing our second draft here for TennisONE podcast. Like you said, we did Australian Open. Nate beat us. The women's bracket was a bit of a beatdown, but the men, I was right there at the end, and I needed Tsitsipas to beat Djokovic. That didn't happen.
You owe him a dinner when we go to Miami.
Yep, and you're coming to that dinner, obviously. So we got
love it. Love that for me.
Hopefully, it's not somewhere too expensive, Nate. No. But yeah, so we're gonna do an Indian Wells draft. We're putting this on YouTube as well. So for those of you that are going to watch, I'm going to share my screen so that we can see the draws and the draft order and all that jazz here. All right. You guys can see it, right?
We can.
Yes.
Perfect. So the categories for the Indian Wells draft are going to be kind of similar to what we did for Australian Open with a few changes. So once again, we have top 10 players as a category. So you have to pick somebody that's in the top 10 that is playing in the event. I think all the women are playing. There's obviously Djokovic is not playing and Nadal is out as well. We're doing Netflix again. But since there are so many, Kyrgios and Tomljanovic are out, and especially on the women's side, there's a lot of repeats in the top 10 category as well. So I added two of the players that are going to be in the second half of the Netflix series. So that's Sabalenka and Swiatek are in the women's Netflix category. Then we're going to do wild card and protected ranking. We did wild card and qualifiers for Australian Open, but the qualifying's not done yet. So we're just doing the protected ranking players, which that for those of you that don't know, that's a player that got injured, and you can, apply for a protected ranking so that when you do come back from the injury, you don't have to start like really low in the rankings. You can kind of start where you were ranked when you got injured. So we got a lot of players there. And then the last category is the field. So anybody that's not listed in these three columns already. I think last time we kind of let some picks go that were in some of the other categories for the field. I think this time it'll work better if you can't pick anybody that's listed in one of these other three categories.
Yep.
So, yeah. That'll just make
okay. Well, I might need to do some
little wild card. Might maybe put you on the spot. I have
little TennisONE app research, Laura. Just pull it right up.
Yeah, I'm just gonna pull up my TennisONE app real quick.
Let's go. So I also have this very not shady site here for those of you watching on YouTube. This is how we're going to determine the draft order, who gets to go first. Basically, I've put our three names in here, and you can only do minimum of 8 teams. So I just put none for all the other spots. But I'm just going to click this generate draft order, and it totally random will tell us who's going first, second, and last. Here we go. Let's go.
All
That
right.
yeah. So we got myself, if you couldn't tell from that reaction.
I was like, what is he going on about? I was like, that says none.
Yeah, a lot of nuns on here, but yeah. So we have Patrick, Madison, Laura. I sometimes wonder if the third pick is the best because you get to do two in a row. I don't
Yeah,
know.
he's a snake. I don't know.
That's
It's a snake. So we'll go
it is.
myself, Madison, Laura, Laura, Madison, Patrick, Patrick, Madison, Laura, just like that for the
So
picks. Did I miss anything, Madison, that you can remember from the last draft?
No, I think you gave the rules very precise. I think we're ready.
Cool. Should we start with the women first?
Yeah, let's mix it up this time.
All right. We'll start with the women. Let me consult my notes. The problem is that, I went with Swiatek last time for my first women's pick at the Australian Open, and she got upset, like the one tournament she doesn't win is the one where I pick her at. So it's like, do I do that again? I think I gotta go with Swiatek. She won. That's an obvious pick, but she won the tournament last year. I think the Indian Wells courts are kind of slow compared to some other hard courts, and obviously she does really well on slow surfaces with winning Roland Garros twice and things like that. So yeah, I don't know. She's got some moment. She's won quite a few tournaments already this year, and I just think when the court's slower, it kind of makes you show what you've got, and she's got a lot of tools. So I'm going to pick her for my women's first pick in top 10. So she's out of Netflix.
Okay.
I think that's a good pick because I was thinking about last year when we were in Miami, and that's the first time I've seen her play in person. And I'm watching, and it's just different from other players you see, like how low she gets to the ground, like the hip mobility. Like I remember we asked her about it, and we were like, are you doing like more like hip mobility exercises? How do you get that low to the ground? And she just kind of said like, whatever my trainer tells me to do is what I do. So but I just remember, like, I think even though she'd already won tournaments up until then, obviously she was at like 3 in a row at that point, like 3 Masters 1000s or something, and
Crazy.
I still think people were kind of like meh about her. And then after she won that one, I feel like people were like, oh my gosh, like she is, I mean, not that people didn't think she was the real deal, but I think sometimes when players win a couple of tournaments in a row, you're like, oh, okay, like they're just really hot right now, but she has like continued to stay there. So I mean, I had her as my first one too, but I thought she might get picked, so I did have a backup. So I'm glad. Hopefully Madison doesn't take my backup.
I take it. All right. Well,
she like kind of inherited the number one ranking, right, with Barty retiring.
that's true.
But then, from like you said, from then on, she just totally proved that she deserved the number one ranking, and now I think nobody thinks otherwise, right? Because she's
Absolutely
just pretty dominant. So, let's see, Madison, you're number 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
Number 2.
Yeah, number 2. So ego was not my pick, but drop the flexibility routine like Laura mentioned. We could all use it. So please, if you're listening, Iga. So I'm going to go ahead and I was kind of back and forth between a couple of players, but I think I'm going to go with Jessica Pegula.
Dang it.
Oh, sorry, Laura. I know I was back and forth between her and Coco, but I think I'm going to pick Jess. She played really well over in Asia over the last month. She's been playing pretty solid tennis. I just really like her as a player, a person. We know she played well in Australia. She had a good chance there. I think Indian Wells is going to be a good kind of, I maybe not as hot, more dry heat, and like we mentioned, slower courts, but I just feel like she's able to adapt well. She played well at the San Diego Open last year. I don't know. I feel like California is good for JPEG, and I'm going with her. I feel confident in that for my top 10.
Yeah, I love how real she is. Like she posted that, what was that tweet of her eating like a bag of Doritos at midnight, talking about how she got bageled on her birthday. Like she's just so, and I also feel like ever since she kind of put out that official like written piece about the struggles with her mom, that she just like seems a lot more relaxed. Like she doesn't have that, not that she's still not worrying and being concerned about her mom, but like just not having to worry about that as an aspect to, nobody knows about it. I'm trying to keep it private. Not that it, however long she wanted to keep it private is great, but I think it seems like she's more relaxed. So That's good.
Yeah. I think it's helpful when you can maybe have the support of it, like the people around. Obviously, the people closest to her knew about that, but now that everybody kind of knows about it, she probably feels a lot of support. I think she definitely did the day she posted that story. So if you haven't seen that, go check it out. It's on the Players Tribune. Jess Pegula writing about her mother who had some, well, I'll just say a health scare last year. So Laura, was that your second person?
That was my second pick, yeah, because I really like her and she's so relaxed and but that's okay. I'll pivot. So I think then I am gonna go with Coco Gauff. And I was kind of struggling between picking Gauff or Sabalenka because I was like, oh, I could get Sabalenka out of top 10 and Netflix. But as well as Arena's been playing, my personal style when I play is not similar to hers. So like when people play like that, I think like, oh, when they're really on, they're really on. But when she's off, she's off. So I know that that's not like new to anyone, but I think that Coco's more consistent. No matter where she is in the world, she has people behind her, but in Miami, especially being from Florida, and also just like the physicality at such a young age, and how she carries herself. She's like, I think part of it too is that us being at tournaments, she's like always been willing to do any interviews or like anything the tournament asks her to do, she like seems like she's ready and willing to do, which I always like give extra points. So although that's not going to help me with her tennis abilities, it does help me in picking her for my choice.
Yeah. Her tennis ability is not bad either, though.
No,
so,
you know what? It's nothing to sneeze at, Madison. Nothing to sneeze at.
Well, you could take Sabalenka if you wanted because you get to pick again as the
great point, and I am.
And there we go.
In case you were wondering, she is. Folks.
Actually, nope. I take it back.
Oh, it's off the board now. There we go.
I'd like Maria Sakkari.
Ooh.
Okay.
Thank you. I think I'm clearly thus far what I'm doing is picking the most fit tennis team, because I think that obviously I don't play outside in a lot of heat anymore, but even just being there watching their matches, it's so hot, and especially when you're on that center court midday and it is just boiling out there. And I think Maria's fitness is gonna take her, and also gets her out of the Netflix category, and so I'll take her there as well. Love it.
All right.
There you go.
She did pretty well last year for those of you.
Yes. Yep.
Netflix shows. Got to the final, lost to Iga, who was just playing like on another level last year. And
seriously, yeah. So I mean, she's got something to defend, which I think is always good for players going into an event.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But, let's see, Madison, you're up, right?
Yeah, I'm also gonna pick from the Netflix category next, and I'm gonna go with Paula Badosa. We know she's a former champ. I just feel like this could be, she kind of dropped out of the top 10. She went through a little rough patch. I feel like she's kind of on the upward climb, and I'm ready to see. I think Indian Wells is going to be great for her. She plays well there, fits her game. I'm ready. Let's go, Paula.
Let's go.
my pick.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, she won it 2 years ago, right? And she followed it up by making the semis, which isn't always easy to do when you win a big tournament like that. So she definitely has really good history here. And yeah, that's what I was gonna say why I'd pick her, but I'm not picking her now. So gotta cross her off my own personal list.
Oh, sorry.
Yep.
Madison feels really bad about it, clearly.
I bet she does. She feels terrible.
You gotta do what you gotta do, you guys.
Yeah, it's ruthless, this drafting. All right. So then I get 2 picks here. So that's the only positive news. And I need to pick a Netflix wild card and the field. All right. I'm not going to pick a Netflix player because you guys have already made those picks. So those will be there later, right? And you've both picked the top 10.
Because they can't be, we can't pick them for later.
Yeah. So, all right, I'll do my field pick next. I'm really back and forth between Barb and Vika. Barb Krejcikova, she won Dubai recently and is playing really good tennis. a lot of talk about her. Like she's always watching people's matches, like in her off time at tournaments. You just see her sitting in the crowd by herself watching the match. And she likes to say like, well, I can always learn something and it's better than just sitting in my hotel room, which I agree. I don't know why more players don't like go out and watch. Maybe I don't know, it's like too much stress with all the people around, but
I love that you call her Barb, like you two are close.
Barb.
I mean, Barb.
Yeah. Barb, you know. Gotta do it. And then Azarenka is the other one I'm thinking about, but I think why don't we consult the draw here? We have it up just for our YouTube to kind of see what the draw looks like. Azarenka, she obviously gets a bye, as pretty much everyone does that's a seed. I feel like she has a pretty good draw. If you just look, she's not playing anybody seeded too high until I guess that's the fourth round, and it would be Jabeur if the seeds hold. And I don't know, Jabeur's kind of coming back from an injury and hasn't done like great at Indian Wells in the past, so that could even open up there. And then Azarenka, Krejcikova also has a pretty good draw, except she'll run into Vekic, Sabalenka, maybe somewhere down there. I don't know. I'm going to go with Azarenka. She's made the final here before, and has she maybe won the tournament in the past? I can't remember, but
I can't remember.
Anyway, I'm going to go with Azarenka for.
Okay,
that's a good pick.
For the field, and then wild card. Who did I write down for this? Oh, I think we went with Katie McNally for wild card. There were a few. I would like to take Volley Nets because what a great name, or Stearns because she won the NCAA's, got her first WTA match win the other day, and she won 2 rounds actually, right? She
made the quarters.
Yeah, she made the quarters in Austin. So I'd like to do that. I think Peyton's draw kind of sucks because if you look up here, you can see if she wins, she's going to play Andreescu, who's won Indian Wells before, and if she wins that, she's probably going to play Swiatek. So that's tough. I'm going to go with Katie, who is playing another wild card. So really anything could happen there. But then the winner plays Fernandez, who, has kind of like struggled since winning the US Open to be consistent. So I don't know. I think that's a totally winnable match for Katie too. So I'm going to go with McNally.
Okay.
It's a good pick.
Good pick.
Yeah. Well, I'm also going to pick from the wild card category, and you just talked about her. I am going to go with Peyton Stearns. I know it might be a little tough journey, but I like the way she's playing. Laura and I had the pleasure of getting to talk to her several times last year at the NCAAs. Not only did she win the singles national championship, her team won it 2 years in a row. So she's got a lot, winning is in her blood. She's won some challengers this year. I like how she plays. I like her as a person. As Laura mentioned, that's sometimes why we pick these players on our team, because we like their personalities and their willingness to talk to us at TennisONE. So she's one that I feel like has really matured fast on tour, and she's already ranked 126. So that's pretty impressive. She's climbed her way up. Peyton Stearns is my choice.
I listen to a podcast that's similar to this format where they do movies, and there's people that always draft like the movies and they're trying to be like very smart about it and like, well, this was the first time this happened or blah, blah. But then some people just pick like, these are the movies I like. This is what everybody likes. I'm picking Titanic. Like, don't at me. I like that. I like that.
Yep.
Let's just pick. But, really for like this category, wild card, protected ranking, it's not like we're expecting these people to win the tournament. It's just, can they win a few rounds and get us some points? So
right.
Love it. Laura, you're up.
All right. So I'm going to do my wild card protected ranking as well. And I am going to go with Diana Yastremska. A few things here. Looking at the draw, I totally see that if she wins her first round that she's going to run into our gal Barb. But looking at what remains, I think that, so I see that Kenin plays Sloane Stephens first round. And although I think, since Sloane won the US Open, I think that if she put full force into it all the time, she would be one of the best players on tour because she's one of the most athletic people in the world, I think. But if she's on, even if she's not trying her hardest, she's gonna beat her. And even if they get past that point, I mean, they're gonna have to, what's the next round? Oh yeah, they see Rybakina next round. So I don't see Sofia Kenin getting past that point. And I think that although Krejcikova is like doing really well this year, that sometimes with the fact that she plays like both singles and doubles and she's actually very focused in both, that, you know, that can sometimes hurt a little early on, having all of that practice time and that. I also like think that in particular a lot of the Ukrainian players are playing for a lot more than themselves, and they seem to be giving so much time and energy because they know that there are other people making sacrifices for them at home. So I think that they've all, no matter what happens, they always have that spirit and try their best. So that's what I'm giving there. I considered like Stearns, Navarro, volley nets, but same thing, looking at their draws, I was like, I'm gonna go with this one. So and then I'm gonna go with my field pick, and I am going to go with Magda Linette.
That is a good one.
And yeah, and let me tell you, like my first interaction with Magda, like her fan base absolutely loves her. They have like Instagram account can like fully connected to her. We were live streaming her practice, and I remember them messaging us every day asking like when is her practice going to be. And I feel like she's kind of flies under the radar because she's pretty soft spoken. Like she's not like super outward. She's not doing anything on court, not making a lot of noise that people are necessarily paying attention to. So I think she's a sleeper pick that kind of flies under the radar. And I realized that she would have to play Emma Raducanu if she got past the first round, but I think Emma's, you know, been having her ups and downs. And then, you know, I think she has a pretty good draw until she gets to, you know, round 3, where she probably, I'm going to guess, is going to play Swiatek. But I think that up until that point, she can win a couple rounds.
And she flies under the radar too, because she's Polish, right? And there's another pretty famous Polish female tennis
exactly. So I think they're going to have an all Polish matchup in round 3. So the Polish fans will be very excited to see it. Maybe not before the final, but you know.
But
well, to your point earlier, there's a lot of them, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys mentioned on social, anything you post about Polish players is like, whoa.
Yeah, people love them.
They have great support, and she played well in Australia too. Magda did. So
did she make the semis? Is that right?
I think she did. Yeah. Great pick. I like it. Okay, so I guess my field is the last one, and I'm going to go with Donna Vekic. She just won down in Mexico. She's been playing really well this year so far. I just feel like, I don't know, every time she just kind of like ceases to amaze me. Like she just continues to make it that much further at all of these events. And she played well in Australia too, didn't she? From what I remember. Yeah, she played
too.
Yeah, so she had a great run. I feel like she's playing really good tennis. I'm excited what to see. I can't remember how much success she's had at Indian Wells in the past, but I just feel like with her playing well in the heat down in Mexico and just kind of what she's been able to do thus far, it could suit her game pretty well. And I'm thinking that she could go pretty far.
One of the things that I've always noticed about Donna when I like first watched her play in person, she was one of the first professional players that I got to see play in person, because I think she was playing in the qualifiers of like one of the first tournaments I was at for TennisONE. And I always noted how, like, you know, they always tell you when you're like learning how to play tennis to breathe out when you're hitting the ball, or breathe out when your opponent is hitting the ball. And actually, if you guys watch Ben Shelton, he does the same thing too, where you can hear the outward like air blow when their opponent is hitting or when they're hitting, just to like, and it's not like super loud when their opponent's hitting the ball or anything, or when they're just like getting ready, they're doing their split step and they're breathing out at the same time. And I always like, at first I was like, why is she doing that? That's kind of weird. And then now I'm like, oh my gosh, like that gets her so ready, and she's like moves so well. And that's a big part of that. And obviously like her and Ben Shelton both are very good movers. So you can see that the technique is seeming to work at this point.
Yeah.
I was wrong. She made the quarters. She lost to seven at the Australian Open. But yeah, she made the San Diego Open final last year, and she's going to run into Sabalenka. It looks like in this draw, I think in the second round. Let's see.
Okay. Yeah.
But she's she can beat Sabalenka. She's done it before and didn't at the Australian Open, but it's not easy to beat people twice in a row, right? So
it's true.
We'll see.
There we go.
I'm going to pick Sabalenka. Last pick.
There you go.
Draft. I have to take her in Netflix, right? She's going to be featured in the second half of the show. So yeah, I mean, part of me is like, I think was it Laura? Did you say it earlier? Sabalenka, she when she's that style of play when she's on, it's like we can do, especially now that her serves back in action, but. Yeah, you never kind of know with somebody like that. Madison Keys kind of the same way. She hits the shit out of it, and sometimes it works great, and sometimes you have like 50 unforced errors in a match. So we'll see. Maybe I'm hoping that with this Grand Slam win, maybe the monkey's off Sabalenka's back, and she'll just be playing super free. And I think she's only ever made like the third round of Indian Wells. Maybe fourth, but I think it's third round. So hopefully she feels a lot less pressure now, and we'll make a little run. So that's who I got.
Yeah.
All right.
That's it, right?
That's all of them.
Those are our picks.
Yeah, we'll just recap real quick for the people listening and not watching. Laura for top 10, she picked Coco Gauff, Maria Sakkari out of Netflix, Yastremska wildcard protected ranking, and Lynette in field. Madison had Pegula in top 10, Badosa out of the Netflix category, Peyton Stearns wildcard protected ranking, and Donna Vekic out of field. I had Iga Swiatek top 10, Vika Azarenka field, Katie McNally wildcard protected ranking, and Sabalenka out of Netflix.
Here we go. Looking good. I
feel like there's a pretty even teams here. We'll see. I feel like Indian Wells is one that just like somebody new could win it, every year. I don't know. It's kind of like Roland Garros, maybe because it's a slower court. All right. Should we go reverse order for draft picks for the men's draft? So
why not?
Yeah, let Laura pick first, and then you, and then I'll go last.
All right.
First pick, men's draft. Laura Sonday, editor-in-chief.
Wow. Okay. I was not prepared to be the first pick, but obviously I have my list. I just have to decide which category I'd like to choose from. This is the thing. Carlos is not in any other category, so it's like I can't even like save him for something else. But neither is Daniil Medvedev, which are my two top picks. I was kind of hoping that somebody else would go first so that I would have to make a choice later. I'm gonna go with Daniil Medvedev. And a couple of things on that. I fully realize what we're looking at with Carlos Alcaraz, but I think anytime you come off of an injury, even if you seem 100%, right, one wrong move can be pretty. I'm not wishing that on Carlos because we all love to watch him, but I think Daniil has been really great as of late. Obviously, when we chatted with him when our team was in Rotterdam, he seemed really good. He always takes the opportunity to make things a little interesting for the crowd in a multitude of ways. So I think people really enjoy watching him. And I think one of my favorite things about him is his adaptability. So like he's super tall, so you assume he's going to play one specific way, but he adapts to whatever his opponent is doing. And like, he's got to be a backboard, he'll be a backboard. He's got to hit past you, he'll hit past you. Like, he'll adjust his game, whereas other players, have that one style, like I'm going for it and that's it. He's not like that. So I'm going to take him for my top 10.
It's a good pick.
Yeah,
like you said, he's not in any other category. So if you didn't take him there, he would have been snatched up.
I think so.
The hottest player right now. Guy, was it
Yes.
3 tournaments in a row he's won?
Yes, 3 tournaments in a row. So hoping he continues that.
All right, Madison, you're up.
All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and take Taylor Fritz right off the bat. I just feel like with how he's been playing, he made the semis in Acapulco. If you didn't see that match, he actually like got sick and then continued to play and didn't even get a time violation. So he just doesn't quit, never gives up. And we've talked about what happened in Breakpoint. Like he was injured going into that final. His team was trying to get him last year to not play. And he's like, if I don't do it, I'll regret it for the rest of my life. Obviously ended up winning. I know title defense is difficult at Indian Wells, but I think that he's been playing really well. He won in Delray. I think the conditions in Indian Wells suit him really well. He's a California kid. I'm going Taylor Fritz.
Good choice. Good choice.
He's got a pretty good draw too, aside from his first round will be tough, I think. We'll see if he plays the winner of Fonini and Ben Shelton. So I don't know. It's always tough to win the first one, especially like when you're the defending champ. I feel like now he'll feel some pressure, but after that, pretty good looking draw there for Fritz. Let's see. Oh, do you want to take him in Netflix or top 10?
Oh, great question. Oh, yeah, let's go Netflix.
Good call.
I didn't even think about that. Thanks for mentioning it.
Yeah, no worries. Flash through. Okay, so I'm up next. I'm actually going to take my field pick first.
Oh.
My mention's not here. I'm taking Cam Norrie.
Good choice. He was on the top of my field.
Yeah.
Great
Obviously,
choice.
Cam won this tournament in 2021. I think it was the year it was in the fall.
Yep.
So he's done really well here in the past. Having a great year so far. He's been in 3 different finals, only won one of them. I think he was in Auckland. He was in Buenos Aires, the Argentinian Open, and he was in Rio, which he won Rio against Alcaraz. So he's playing really good tennis. And since I'm going to get another pick after this, I figured I just got to get Cam Norrie right away. So
there you go.
Good choice.
All right. So then next pick. Let me cross these people off so I know they're gone. I think I kind of want to take my wild card pick next. I don't know. You know, there's like good players in the top 10. Any one of them will be good. Yeah, I'm taking Wu Bing, my boy.
There you go. Your Dallas boy.
Yeah, obviously, if you guys have listened to some of our past podcasts, I was at the Dallas Open where Wu Bing won, and that guy. I mean, talk about something that's super athletic. If you just sit at the baseline and watch him, like, first of all, he hits the hell out of the ball for sure, but he moves so well, and he's just totally unflappable in big moments. Like in the final against Isner, he saved like 4 match points and just totally went for it on all 4 of them. Like he's super impressive. He's had good results this year. He made the finals of a challenger before he won the Dallas Open. I don't think he's played since Dallas, so that's my only kind of concern, but I'm taking Wu.
I also kind of wonder if part of that, and I'm not saying that pro tennis players aren't prepared, but like maybe if you're not expecting to get that far in a tournament, you need a little bit more recovery time than you had originally thought, right? Because normally he'd at least have a travel day to head somewhere else or whatever. So perhaps, especially like capitalizing on some of the things that made him successful there was kind of like we'll work on that. So I think that's a good pick. And Mike Cation would agree with you.
Yeah, Mike, who picked him to win the Dallas Open before the tournament even started. So Mike's got a crystal ball. He also, if you just look for those watching, you can see his draw here. I think it's a pretty good draw. Obviously, Davidovich Fokina, it's going 3 sets to a tiebreak probably because that guy's a warrior. But I don't know. I kind of, play Hatchinoff in the 3rd round. And I don't know, slower courts. I think that'll help Wu. And then Casper Ruud, who, I don't know, Casper.
He's been a little off.
Yeah, he hasn't had a good start to the year, so I'm sure he's looking to turn it around here. And people were saying, I don't know if you guys saw, people were saying that like, oh, he shouldn't have done that South American tour with Nadal at the end of last year. He like kind of did an exhibition tour down there with him. I don't know. I feel, first of all, that's like his childhood hero. If Nadal asks
Yeah,
him,
if Nadal asks you to do something, I don't care what it is. He
Yeah.
could say, "Let's go skydiving together." You say yes.
Yeah, like, I'm sure he'd take those experiences over having a good start to this year. So
Plenty a year left.
Yeah, plenty.
Yeah, very true. Only early March. Yeah,
Right.
that's a great pick. I think I'm going to go ahead and pick from my field as well. And I'm going to go Tommy Paul. He just made the
I
final in
knew you were going to
Acapulco.
go Tommy Paul.
I
For
don't
those
know.
of you listening on the other end, not only does Madison think Tommy Paul's a great tennis player, but she also very much is into pop culture and follows his girlfriend on TikTok and stuff and really
Really
much likes
closely.
that. So
Let me
Paige,
just
if
talk
you're
about her
listening
real
and you're
briefly.
at the next tournament we're at, Madison would
Yes.
love you.
I didn't get a chance to meet Paige when I was in Delray Beach, but just shout out to her. She's an icon, a fashion icon, and I'm obsessed with her in the most normal way. Okay. Anyways, back to Tommy.
Where does the clout rank of her and Taylor Fritz's girlfriend? Where, like, in terms of social media influencer?
Oh, good question.
Wow, you're putting me in the middle here. I feel like you're asking me to pick teams. I'm not going to. I knew of Paige before I knew of Morgan. Paige is Tommy's girlfriend. Morgan is Taylor's girlfriend. However, they're both influencers. They both do video vlogs. They're friends. We support. They're fun. They have good fashion style. I'll give them that. Both that. Okay. I'm not going to pick teams. They're
Equal.
even. Okay.
So
They're
if the
even.
next time we do a draft, let's make it for like player spouses.
The spouses. Yes. I'm down. So anyways, back to Tommy. He did make the final down in Acapulco. He dropped the last two sets, but played really well the first set. He had a great week, and those are tough conditions. I think he plays well in the heat. Lives in Delray, right around that area. Trains in Florida. Obviously, we know his Australian Open was amazing this year. I think he's playing really good tennis, and I think that he got sick right after he got back from Australian Open, he said. So he didn't play as well as he could have in Delray. And I think maybe that kind of helped him for Acapulco. He was able to rest up, get going down there. And I think that him maybe losing the final in Acapulco wasn't necessarily a bad thing. So I think he's capable of going far in Indian Wells.
Nice.
Solid pick.
We love Paige. We love Paige. Anyways.
Laura, you're up.
All right. I'm gonna go with my Netflix pick, and it's gonna be Felix Auger-Aliassime.
Right.
There you
go. Obviously removes him from the top 10 category. As Patrick said, anyone in the top 10 category is good, but I think that if I'm thinking particularly about the Netflix category, I mean, we just had a full discussion about Casper Ruud. I like the spirit of Thanasi Kokkinakis, but I'm not gonna pick him to win that many matches through the tournament. And I think too, like looking at his draw, Felix is in a pretty good place. I mean, he's got the winner of Marc-Andre Hussler and Pedro Martinez in round 2, and then the seed that he would run into would be Francisco Cerundolo. So I think that he's in a pretty good spot, just in terms of, you know, if Jack Sock makes it through, if Jack Sock is playing well, like one of those guys that's gonna, you know, hit right through you. But I think that experienced enough players tend to do really well. And I know that everybody kind of talks about how Tony Nadal is helping Felix out now, and Felix has always seemed to have a really strong team. So the effort's always there. And I think taking him from both of those categories behooves me.
Good call.
go.
Do you have another pick, right?
Yeah.
I have another pick. So I'm going to go with, because now in my wildcard protected ranking, my second pick was Jack Sock. Obviously, I'm not going to do that, because if Jack Sock does make it to the third round, he would meet my other pick. So although one of my picks would keep going, I'm not going to do that. I'm actually going to go with Stan Wawrinka.
Oh.
That was mine. That's a great pick.
Yeah, you know what? I think that Stan, again, another player that's been under the radar for a while. Obviously, a lot of times when people talk about the players that have like won slams and did really well, they would say like the names of the big four. And then like if they were to continue, they always kind of mention Stan Wawrinka. And I think, getting to hear a little bit of his personality when our team was in Rotterdam too, like all the interviews that we did with him, it seemed like he was in good high spirits. Everybody loves to watch a one-handed backhand. I think in that category, he's got probably one of the best shots because of his experience. It's one of those things where you're like, even if, I mean, his draw is okay for the first couple rounds anyway, but even if he were to be in a tight spot, you just kind of, with the past that he's had, you're not necessarily like, oh, well, he's never going to beat that person. So it's not like an impossible task for him to beat anyone. And I think he's got a pretty good one down there. Even if he were to meet Holger Rune eventually, like, I think that, that old versus young guy experience might help him out a little bit.
Yeah, that was a great pick. That was who I was going to pick. So
they had a little headbutting the last time they played. I'm trying to remember which tournament this was. If it was,
did they play each other in Rotterdam?
Oh, was it the one where Wawrinka said like you're something at the net, like you're acting? Yeah, you're acting like a baby.
Like at the net after the match, and they shook hands. He called him a baby,
which I think would do well for me because I think that will bother Holger Rune a lot more than it'll bother Stan Wawrinka if they do play each other.
Yeah, I mean, Stan's a full-grown adult man, and Holger's obviously just coming on the scene, super talented. But yeah, we'll see. But yeah, that's a great. I had him written down as well at one point. So nice.
I like it.
Right.
Okay, I'm just gonna, since you guys have both picked your wild card protected ranking, I'm gonna go ahead and pick my top 10, and I'm gonna take Andrei Rublev.
Right.
I'm a big Rublev fan. Okay, let me just say that, just because, again, we're going back to the personality, but I think he is one of the most like dry sense of humors on tour, and he is so funny. But you ask any broadcaster and they love talking to him. Like, they love doing sit downs, they love the on-court interviews with him. He's just a great person, and also like immensely talented. He's actually been playing really well this year as well. Lost to Medvedev recently in the final, but he's playing some good tennis. He played pretty well in Australia. I think the mental thing is what he said in Australia was kind of getting in his way, and he just gets really in his head. So I think if he is able to play without that block in Indian Wells, he's going to go far and play well.
He has great results, and then he's always against the very top players. It seems like within the top 10. I wonder what his record is, because it always seems like he loses those matches. But if he could just get like one of them, maybe that would open the floodgates for him.
Yeah.
Well, all right, good pick. I need to pick. So I have my last two. So I need to pick top 10 and Netflix. Let's just do Netflix because there's only 3 players left. I could pick Kokkinakis, Berrettini, or Ruud. I was just sitting here saying how Ruud hasn't had a great start to the year. But I think I'm going to go with him because Indian Wells, slower courts. Casper's really good on slow surfaces. Obviously, clay is kind of his best surface. And I think, hopefully this is the tournament that he gets that year going. So I
also feel like he's really relaxed. And so or seems so outwardly. So like him not having a great start to the year, you can't really tell when you're watching him play, which means that from tournament to tournament, I think he's still got a good head on his shoulders. That's a great point.
Yeah, short-term memory. And he's a big golfer. Indian Wells, great golfing area. So I'm sure
he'll want to stick around longer. So
does that mean, obviously he's not going to play during the tournament, right? So really what I just said doesn't make sense. Does he want to lose early so that he can start playing and get more rounds in before the next tournament? I don't know, but we're going. He did well at Miami last year. Around this time, maybe he's starting to come into his own. So
pick it up.
Take Ruud there, and then in top 10. Everybody's staying away from Alcaraz because we just don't know. Is he going to pull out after the first match or what the deal is? In a perfect world, I'd pick Alcaraz, but I think I'm going to go with Tsitsipas. He did well for me last time I picked him at the Aussie Open. Obviously, he always does well there. Indian Wells, I think maybe 4th round is the best he's done. I don't know. I'm trying to be more safe here than anything because I feel like Alcaraz and Rune have huge potential, but Alcaraz is hurt and Rune, I don't know. All right. I'm going with Tsitsipas for my last pick. See what happens. My least
Well, like you said, he did well for you in Australia, so
yeah.
you never know.
Yeah.
Madison, you're up, or am I up? No, Madison.
Madison's up. Yep.
Okay. And it's my last pick for the wild card and protected ranking. All right. I think I'm going to go with Monfils because if I remember correctly, didn't he beat Medvedev last year? Was that who beat?
Oof. Maybe.
I think he had a really big win because he just can get the crowd so into his matches, and I feel like he just feeds so well.
There you go.
Yeah, I
At
see.
Indian Wells too.
Yep, that's what I thought.
Good
So
memory.
he can just get the crowd going, and he is capable of beating anybody at any given moment. And I think he plays well in Indian Wells. I think we know that, and I just feel like I know he's struggled with injuries and everything. I know that's hard, and he's kind of probably nearing the end of his tennis career, but I feel like Indian Wells, he can do well, and I'm going with Gail.
Yeah, it's his first tournament back since the National Bank Open in Canada last year. So that was in August.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a minute, but
Tough pick, but I admire.
He's like maybe one of my top 2 favorite players.
Oh, heck
inside.
He's so entertaining.
He's just
like, it's like obviously different because Sloane Stephens doesn't do like the same kind of stuff, but it in the same way that it's like the most athletic people. Yeah. And when they're doing really well, like Monfils, even if he's doing so well, he'll still go for those like trick shots and whatever. Like no matter if he's winning, losing, whatever. So at least you know you're gonna get a good show.
Yeah, great show, but he's an amazing guy. Like if you have the chance to spend any time with him for an interview or whatever, like he's just super nice, really funny. I've never seen anyone hit the ball like in person as hard as he does, or maybe it just sounds really hard because his racket's pretty heavy, but he can absolutely crack it. So it's kind of interesting how he plays more defensive, like his style is pretty defensive for how hard he can actually hit the ball. So sometimes I just wish he would like, maybe when he comes back now, he'll try a new strategy towards the end of the career, but just, man, he can hit really hard. So
yeah,
anyway,
I just really like him. So you never know.
All right, my last pick.
Last one.
So I was torn field wise between Jannik Sinner and Alex de Minaur. I'm going with Jannik Sinner. Obviously, de Minaur won in Mexico this past week. And one of the things that I really like about him is that everybody talks about like no matter what, you're going to get effort from him, which is something I really admire about players. Like I realize they're professional athletes and you're like, they're all putting in effort, but like it just seems like from the way that everybody talks about him that it's from a different level. However, if I'm taking a look at their draws, second round, de Minaur's likely to meet JJ Wolf, who as an American, somebody whose friends tend to travel to tournaments and like that kind of thing. And he's always like a force to be reckoned with, really fiery, got that, all that flair. I think that could cause some issues pretty early on. And Jannik Sinner would play like the winner of a qualifier and Richard Gasquet. And then, even so continuing on, like de Minaur would reach Taylor Fritz and hopefully, you say, like, I just think that the odds are better to get Sinner past a couple of rounds. He would get Gasquet or qualifier, and then he'd get winner of Team Manarino and Musetti. So I just think that he's got more potential to go more rounds. So although like in a heart kind of way, I would pick de Minaur, in reality of things, I'm going to pick Jannik Sinner. And you gotta love that the guy is sponsored by a cheese company,
Which cheese company is that?
Oh, I can't remember, but there's a picture of him like with a big block of like Parmesan cheese, essentially.
That's amazing.
Incredible. Yeah, it's incredible.
Well, he's Italian, so you got to have a cheese.
I mean, come on, right? It just makes sense.
Cheese sponsor, right? You
That's
made
a great
me worried I didn't consult the draw for the Casper Ruud pick to see who he's got. So now I'm looking at it here. Okay, I feel better about it. No immediate, watch outs. So
yeah.
All right. Okay, so let's recap here. That is all the picks for the men's. So Laura picked Daniil Medvedev top 10, FAA in Netflix, Stan Wawrinka in wild card protected ranking, and Yannick Sinner, Darren Cahill combo in the field. We always pair him with the coach, Laura, because Cahill, he's the man. He knows what he's doing. I picked Cam Norrie in the field, Wu Bing in wildcard protected ranking, Casper Ruud in Netflix, and Stefanos Tsitsipas top 10. Madison picked Taylor Fritz and his girlfriend. What's her name? Sorry.
No, Tommy Paul's girlfriend.
Well, but you have both of the players.
Oh, Morgan Riddle. We can shout out her too. That's Taylor Fritz's girlfriend, if those are wondering.
Exactly. And Tommy Paul in the field, Andre Rublev top 10, and Gael Monfils wild card protected ranking. He's back. I hope he wins a few rounds. I'd be happy to see you win just because Monfils makes a run. That would be.
If he wins one round, I think I would be happy with that.
Yeah, that's a good one. But let's go.
I think he's on the party court a lot, which is Blair Henley's court, who we had on our podcast on Friday. So, if you want to watch court 3 on TV, or if you're there, the party court, that's what Blair said. That's where it's at. So
I'm definitely going there when I get there on Friday. Yeah, for those of you that don't know, I'm going to go to Indian Wells for TennisONE, get some behind the scenes social media coverage. Just, should I be more casual about it? Because full disclosure, we are not credentialed at this tournament. It's a tough cookie to crack, even compared to some of the slams. So I'm just going as a fan. Should I be drinking while I'm doing this, having some champagne because that's part of the scene at Indian Wells, or should I just be professional? What do you guys think?
I'm going to go with be professional.
Good call.
That's going to be my pick. That's going to be my pick, Patrick.
Maybe during the weekday, when I'm there on Friday, that's during the week, but then weekend, Saturday, Sunday, it's gets fuzzy. I don't know. No, we gotta be professional, guys. This is TennisONE. This isn't some, who knows what. So all right. Well, yeah. Thanks everybody for listening. If you're listening on Spotify, we really appreciate a follow and rating. That helps us a lot. We've been seeing the Madison and I were looking at the numbers the other day, each episode getting more and more people listening. So that's exciting stuff. Obviously this is going to be in the TennisONE app, and it's on YouTube if you want to watch it. So at TennisONE app for our social channels. And we'll be back. What do you think's the next podcast, Madison?
Sometime next week, probably. Whatever works for you, because you're going to be on the road for the next month.
And then Patrick and I will be heading to Miami. So
that's right. Good idea. That's why I wore this hat. I told Madison so I wouldn't forget. This is the TennisONE Super Bowl, Miami Open, right, Laura?
Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait to be there. So maybe we'll have to do another draft before then, and then we'll probably do a live podcast from site, everybody. So you can probably catch that.
Yep. TennisONE will be official app of Miami Open. So Laura and I will be down there doing post-match interviews, lots of that. There we will be credentialed. So there we'll have very good access and can get some cool videos and stuff for you guys. So really excited about that coming up right after Indian Wells. But let's enjoy the first part of the Sunshine Double. Thanks for joining Madison and Laura. First time around, you're gonna have to come back.
Happy to be here.